today's Bloody Spotlight, we are joined by actor, singer, songwriter Matthew Patrick Davis. As an actor, you know him from Henry Danger, Dwight in Shining Armor, American Dad, and from his highly successful YouTube production of A Nightmare Before Christmas Live, and Alien on The Late Late Show, and that zombie from that Sprint commercial. But today we are here to talk to him about his role as the mother in the highly successful 20th Century Studios movie Barbarian. Everyone, please welcome Matthew Patrick Davis.
Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ian. Thanks for having me.
Before we really delve into it, I need to ask you a very important question.
Yes.
Do you even like horror?
I do, although
Okay.
I still have a bunch of horror blind spots that I am trying to fill in. But yeah, I did I love The Shining, and
Okay.
and I even wrote a half-hour musical based on The Shining.
What?
And grew up loving Evil Dead 2 and stuff like that. But it actually wasn't until being on the set of Barbarian that I was asking Zach Cregger, what are your favorite horror movies?
I'm going to play some clips from Barbarian, and then we can talk about it.
How do you know she can't get in here?
Shit, I've been living in this place more than 15 years, and she ain't never came in this motherfucker.
So how does singer, songwriter, actor Matthew Patrick Davis go from singing and songwriting to playing the mother in Barbarian?
Yeah, just playing a large, naked, feral woman. It totally tracks, and
It's a natural progression.
it makes perfect sense. As the same time as I'm writing like a kid's album of songs about dogs. I grew up doing theater and tall and skinny, and so I've particularly been attracted to like tall and skinny physical comedians and people that use their height for perhaps comedic purposes. And then when I found out who Doug Jones was, like 20 years ago, I was like,
Wow.
oh, the Pan's Labyrinth guy is the Shape of Water guy, is the Hellboy guy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's like a cool way to use your physicality for perhaps frightening purposes or, that kind of thing. So when I put that together, I was like, I'd like to do that someday. And then my manager, he represents a lot of comics, and he happens to also represent Doug Jones. And so by sheer coincidence, I was like, hey, and by the way, I know who Doug is and would love to do that also. And then since then, my manager's been able to kind of do the Doug Jones pivot. When people come to him for Doug and he's unavailable, he'll be like, I have a different tall, skinny actor. That is how I got on a short list. And so I met with Zach Cregger over Zoom, and he was like, is this even anything you'd want to do, man? And I was like, why? Because prosthetics are uncomfortable. And he's like, no, because you'd be naked, man, ass out, and shave your eyebrows, and stuff like that. I'm like,
Wow.
oh, well, I'm not a lady, so I'm not going to be naked. There was a cut scene that you can still see in the digital extras, but where the mother, when she's trying to feed AJ, AJ's just not latching. And so she grabs a rat and bites the head off of a rat and baby birds it into his mouth. But this audition was me doing that scene. And he was just like, grab a hot dog, something. And I happen to have pickles in the fridge. And also he's like, I hate myself for asking this, but can you take your shirt off in the audition? Which is usually a red flag in audition.
Yeah.
Directors like, take your shirt off. But But I did, and it looked weird with me in shorts, so I was in my underwear, just drooling pickle juice all over. But that was the booker, apparently, and then I was off to Bulgaria.
Do you get immediately, fitted for the makeup?
They did a life cast of my head and of my chest and of my crotch, and then they sent that to Bulgaria. They sent my bulge area to Bulgaria. I was very scared, and it was a leap of faith. And but then once we started doing makeup tests, they started to get it really dialed in, and I was like, oh, this might work. I don't look like me.
Why did they decide to use a man as opposed to a woman in this role?
I think it was because of height. Like they were looking for someone like 7 feet tall, and they settled for 6'8".
How do you become this character?
Yeah, the makeup is a huge help, obviously. Like you just sit in the mirror and watch yourself slow motion transform, and you go, oh, okay. But leading up to it, it was like as soon as Zach decided that I was his guy to play his lady, he sent me down the rabbit hole of, he said, look up feral children. And I didn't know even really what that meant, but I went down a dark YouTube rabbit hole of real life people that were raised in captivity, that were raised in cages, who as a result are nonverbal. And also a lot of them had kind of like an animalistic physicality. You know, it was like very sad, but also really allowed me to like empathize with this character and realize, oh, it's not just a scary monster. Like she's a victim of this horrific abuse that is alluded to in the film. My favorite monsters are ones that you empathize with and that you realize like, oh, they're actually not the monster. Maybe the monster is us. In the end, you feel bad for King Kong. In the end, you feel bad for Frankenstein's monster. Like it kind of goes back to the beginning of monster movies.
So how was it working with Zach? Obviously with weapons and with this, he's become quite the big deal.
He knew what he wanted, and because he'd been like writing it for 2 years and kind of just like imagining the movie in his head the whole time. And so for me, that was like, oh, am I even going to be, is anyone going to buy that I'm even a lady? I was probably like spraying anxiety on him, and he would be like, we got it. Trust me, we got it. He was good at pivoting on his feet. Like that first scene that you just showed of me like coming through the wall and then ripping the guy's arm off.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be in the same shot as he's like, I've been here for 15 years and she ain't ever coming this. And then you're supposed to see my whole body kind of like Kool-Aid Man through the wall in that one shot. And it was funny, in Bulgaria, they made this breakaway wall, and the crew was like, it is so fragile. Don't even breathe on it. Don't touch it. It is this fragile breakaway wall, and we only have one go at it. And then so they yell action, and I hear him say his line, and I put my whole body into this wall, and it just breaks like where my shoulder hits. It doesn't break where my like skinny legs are. I kind of trip fall through the hole, and you could just hear Zach go, okay. And then he's like, all right, well, we'll cut and then cut back and have you just jump through the hole. So through the magic of editing, he saved that moment. And that was just one of multiple examples of just seeing him be light on his feet despite having planned everything out.
You must have been in the chair a long time.
Yeah, the first test, it was like 5 hours, and then they got it faster and faster every time. And also it was like they had a pit crew of like 7 or 8 people that were working on my whole body at the same time. It felt like I was a Formula One car.
So ultimately, as a whole, how was the experience working on the film?
It was just like bonkers crazy. Just every day was crazy. It was just like, oh, today I'm forcibly breastfeeding Justin Long, and then working with a real rat and then a fake rat that spurts blood. And then I'm spitting bloody prosciutto into Justin's open mouth. And then today
That's so fun.
Bill Skarsgård. I just seen him in the It's, and then I'm bashing his head against the wall and killing him. And just every day was insane. And then the last day was me jumping off the water tower, which was done on a green screen, and they had me in a full flight rig, like with like giant fans. So that was like a fitting final day of this crazy movie where, okay, and now Mother's flying like Peter Pan.
Did you enjoy the gore part of it, ripping heads open, ripping off limbs?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's great to be at the end of the day. You're all like covered in fake blood and sticky because of the glue, sticky because of the fake blood. And I don't know. It's just, and then, yeah, like working with a prosthetic head that looks exactly like Justin Long and getting to like stick your fingers through his eye holes and then have like all this goop come out of it.
You're in the horror lexicon as one of these huge characters in the horror world. That must be kind of cool.
It is fun. I've been able to go to like horror conventions. I use
That's so
these
creepy.
just for my photo ops and just ask them, okay, so, and do you want to be my baby? You know, and then, so I have that. Now there's all these photos of me bottle feeding people all around this great country of ours.
Did you have any idea it was going to be a success?
No. I mean, you read the script and like, you have no idea. Is this going to go direct to streaming? Is this just going to disappear? Sure. I have no idea. And then, you know, like when I got to Bulgaria, Zach was like, New Regency just picked it up. Like that's if we don't fuck it up, we have a chance this might like get a theatrical release. And then Zach calls me like, yeah, 20th Century just picked this up. Like, you know, this is really getting a theatrical release, you know, whoa, that's exciting. And then the reviews come out and it's like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's exciting. And then seeing it in the theater with people, hearing their reactions, that was like a revelation to me. I wouldn't have known, because like you read the script, you know what's going to happen.
Sure.
And it isn't until like hearing it through someone else's reactions that you realize like, oh yeah, like people they don't know what's gonna happen. And oh yeah, obviously my entrance is pretty shocking. So it was fun to get that experience of seeing it with people.
Is there anything coming up you want to mention before I free you?
I did just recently go back to Bulgaria to play a different scary lady in a different horror movie. So that is either going to be called The Red Box or Samodiva, which is the name of my character. And then in December, I'm shooting a movie called The Shepherd. And that one is starring Georgina Campbell, who was in Barbarian, and playing a different scary creature. And then, yeah, in January, February, March, I'm going to be in Amadeus at the Pasadena Playhouse.
Thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me.